Hello everyone. Please welcome an international speaker, Milica, coming from Serbia. Today she will be sharing a presentation on all you need to know about building mobile apps with React Native.
Hello everyone. So it's really great to be here today, and today I'm going to talk about all you need to know about building mobile apps with React. But before we start, let me just quickly introduce myself. So I'm a software engineer from Serbia, and I'm also a public speaker. I love to speak at the conferences, I love to share knowledge, and I love to speak about React and React Native. Okay, now it's better? Great. And also that one thing I'm really proud of is that this year I also co-founded the Milica in our city niche in Serbia. And we wanted to create a community where we can support women, where they can share knowledge and just support each other. So I also work at a company that is located in the city niche. And we are founded in 2019 in Serbia. We are a fast-growing software development company. We currently have about 25 engineers that are full-stack capabilities. We have expertise in telco and media industries. And if you want to know more about the company, you can ask me later after the presentation. So, to write a successful native app, you will have to that app to be accessible in both iOS and Android platforms. And to do that, you will need to know different languages. For the iOS, you will need to know Swift or Objective-C, and for the Android, you will need to know Java and Kotlin. And that also means that you will need to create two separate apps, but identical. And that often means that you will need to have two separate teams to just maintain and develop them. And that often means that you will need to also to pay the teams as well. So instead of doing that, you can use React Native. And with React Native, you will have the faster development time, and also you will use the one single code base for two apps. What will React Native do? React Native will take care of rendering for you. So you will need to just write screens, write code, write the UI, and React Native will use that code and translate it to both native iOS and Android apps as well. So, do we have any React developers here today? Do we have React Native developers here today? Nice. So there's going to be interesting today. It's a great way to have a few people. I hope it's like just going to be really interesting for the other people as well. So what is React Native? React Native is a framework for writing native apps using JavaScript and React, for using the cross-platform and writing the apps for both Android and iOS. But also, what I love about this and what I love about the JavaScript, that you can use your knowledge of JavaScript and your knowledge on React to write platforms for iOS, Android, web, and also a desktop. And that is a really great skill to have. Like just with one language, you can write platforms for platform for all platforms. So when I was starting with the React Native, first I was web developer, and I was working with React and building the apps with React. And in my company, there was opportunity to work on the mobile app. And what is like best choice to transition is to go from React to React Native. And starting generally with React Native comes really naturally for React developers. But as you start with React Native and you start going deeper, there is also a lot of differences and a lot of challenges, and you need to overcome them. So I want now to go over some similarities and also to go over some differences between web and mobile and React Native. So what are similarities? In React Native, you will still have components, as these components you will use as building blocks to build your app. You will still use your state and props, you will still have the JSX, and you still can use your favorite state management library. You can use the Redux, you can use context, or you can use some others. So everything you use on React, you can still use it in React Native. So when you're also developing a mobile app, you will have to get to know the Xcode and Android Studio, because you're also developing a native app that needs to work on both platforms. And when you start and set up everything, you will also need to get familiar with emulators, simulators, and devices. Because for that, you only need a browser. But now going to the mobile side, you need to get familiar with all these devices. Because you have two platforms, both iOS and Android. And you can use the Xcode to run the simulators, and you can use the Android Studio to run emulators for Android. And both simulators and emulators are really good when developing, but they can be wrong in some cases, because simulators can never replicate 100% of the real device. You can find your app working like everything in simulators and emulators, but when you run it on a real device, something can go really wrong. So my advice I can give you is to always test your app on real devices through the development process, especially if you want to release the both platforms. And also, I would suggest you to maximize devices that you're testing on, and to automate both Android and iOS releases. So, when you're set up with the developer and everything and devices, the first thing that you will notice coming from the web to the mobile, that in React Native, that there's no HTML tags. So, HTML tags that are in React like this and paragraph, now in React you can use components like view, text. Button is still a button, but there's some variants like touchable opacity and touchable without feedback, which is also view, but you have to think differently, because on web everything is like click, and now when coming to the mobile, you have to think about press, because the user is pressing. And there's a lot of different variants, like how long is pressing, are you going to change some style, are you going to change some feedback. So this is really few options that you can check out. Besides that, there's like core components that you need to provide you that you can use with your app, and some of them are view, text, image, text input, and others. And you can use them as building blocks to your application. Also, there are some others like components like buttons, which like you can also use the flat list and section list as for the building list use. And some others like activity indicator or other model, like you will use all of them for your application. And all of these components, as you import it from React Native, how will they behave? We have a refresh control and activity indicator will show on native and on iOS and native on Android. And that's what's really cool. So that's like the first basic example that you will try when starting with React Native, of course the hello world. So let me check it out. So we have the view and we have the text component that we will import and use from React Native. And text component with React Native will translate it to the native iOS UI view and the native text view in Android. So your job is just to write the React Native, and React Native will for you translate it to both iOS and Android native views. Okay, let's since React component have support for the style prop, you can also create an object of style values and pass them to the component as props. And the style name works exactly the same name, but there is one exception that is common case, so you have to think about it. Also, we will have the flexbox, and flexbox works the same way as in CSS, but there's few exceptions. The flex direction is defaulting to the column instead of the row, and flex only supports a single number as a parameter. One advice I can give you is if you use the style component, that is library that gives you CSS syntax out of the box, on React, you can also use the style components in React Native. So for me, that transition was really easy because I used the style components before, and now I imported it in React Native and use them. So with style components, you will get the CSS syntax that you don't have in React Native. You will get the line style, and also you will get theme. It's really good. Okay, let's go to the navigation. So in the browser world, you will have your app. You will have the current page, you will have the history, you will have the back button that redirects users. But in the mobile world, you have to think differently. You have to think that screens, what best example I can give you are screens are the deck cards. So every screen that you're moving forward goes to the top of the deck. And if you're moving back, it goes off the deck cards. So there's really two great libraries that you can use for navigation, that is React navigation and also React Native navigation. One great example that if you use React router in React, you can also use it in React Native, but I would suggest you to check out these libraries. And there are some different options working with navigation and React Native. You will have the stack navigator. What it will do is it will provide you a way to transition between the screens, like go back and go forward. And one of the common patterns is the drawer navigation. You can put it on the left side, put it on the right side, and it's a really common pattern in the mobile apps. And possibly the most common style is the tab navigation. That is most common style used in the mobile application, and you can put it at the bottom of the screen, or you can put it at the top of the screen, or in some cases it also replaces the header. My advice I can give you on this is to always use the native stack from React navigation because it uses better native screen practically, and it's always worth the performance gain over the JS stack. One more thing you don't have to worry about when you're developing app that is for web, and you have to think about where you're developing a mobile app is your app stack. Because working with mobile apps, you have to think about where is your app. That means, is your user using your app currently? Is your app in the background? What will happen if your user brings back that application from background to foreground? So you can use the app state from React Native, and it can tell you if your app is currently active, if your app is in the background, or if your app is in the foreground. So you also have to think about what will happen if your user is using your app and then maybe some phone call things. What will happen to your application? So with app state, you will import it from React Native, and you can maybe develop some custom code to check the state. And that will, what will happen is that will notify you where the state app change. So in these cases, I will recommend to most commonly is to refresh your app. So refresh your state and just show the user the most new state and the most current state. Let me go about performance and optimization. This is a really important topic working with mobile apps because you have a lot to think about that. Because the user when building the app, they don't often think about it. And this is the case because most of the users are having the really devices. Not all users will have like the best devices that are really fast and that have the most of new iOS systems, but they will also have like some other. An example I can give you that when we're developing our app, we always first check on iOS and like test on iOS, but we often forgot to test on Android, and that was a really big mistake because later when we released our app, it shows that 80% of our users were Android and 20% are iOS. So you also have to think about the different devices and how fast they are. So, what is important of optimization? So, if your app is optimized, that will improve your user experience. It will also increase retention, and your users are not going to be frustrated by slow apps and then just delete them. And also, you have to optimize simply because apps work, as I said, on slow devices, and especially like working with them, you have to think a lot about that. So, while working on the mobile app in the past 20 years, we have a situation that we had to work and build an app that will manage the home gateways and routers. It needed to show the status of how many devices are connected to the home gateways and how many devices are currently active. And for that, we found two really challenges that we faced. The first one is the home gateway response time, because the routers that we worked with was really, really slow devices. And also, they were really not that stable, because sending too many requests will often just kill the router. And how can I like show you how fast the routers work? Like this is the response time. So it's really, really, really slow and just not stable. So how to make this faster and how to make this more stable to your users? We use the caching, and caching is a really powerful strategy to use in these scenarios because you can access your data and store them frequently, and with this you can reduce the network requests. You can use libraries to cache the API responses, and this is like really good cases. And there are two libraries that I want to recommend you. The first one is Apollo Client. Apollo Client is really great choice to go because there is in-memory cache. It's also normalized data stores. The cache is normalized page data, optimizing data access and manipulation across the app to enhance code efficiency and usability. And also you will get the automatic data updates. Apollo Client will automatically reflect any changes made by the app, whether locally or on the server. And also with this you will get the offline support. So Apollo Client will provide the offline support allowing your app to function normally even if there is no internet connection. Other library I want to recommend you is React Query. It's really developer friendly and you can use it in both React and React Native. It really simplifies the data fetching because it provides a single unified API for fetching data from multiple sources, making it easy to integrate with existing React application. Also, it will give you intelligent caching. It will give you the domination, and also handling data expiration and prefetching. And it will also have some of the advanced features like automatic updates and everything that you need for your application to be more faster. And as I said, it's also developer friendly. It's really easy to use in both React and React Native applications. Also, there's really one more important thing when building mobile apps that can get the users really frustrated, and that is scrolling, especially scrolling a large digital sets. Because if users see that your apps is like really slow, that can get really frustrated with them, and they just delete the app. So, smooth and responsive scrolling is really important to use. So let's take a look to the long list as an example. Every application contains a list at some point, and the fastest way in React Native to build a list to combine the scroll view and view component. However, such an example will quickly become problematic when it goes to the application becomes bigger and bigger, and the large data sets becomes bigger also. So in React Native, there is component I mentioned in the beginning that is flat list. Flat list is the dedicated component in React Native for displaying and working with large data sets. It uses the technique called the virtualized list approach, and what will that do is it will only render the item that is currently visible on the screen, and then it will recycle the component as you scroll. And this feature, as I said, is known as virtualization, and it will give you the better performance and really smooth scrolling experience. There's also one more library I want you to recommend. This is just an example of the flat list. You will import this from React Native, and then you will pass the data and the random item. And this is the library I was talking about, that is the flash list. It was developed by Shopify. It's really easy to switch from flat list to flash list, as they both have the same prop, but there's one difference, and that is that flash list have the prop estimated item size, and that is a single numeric value. That flash list let you know about approximately the size of the item they're going to be rendered on the screen. And flash list can use that information to decide how many items it needs to throw on the screen before initial load and what the user is scrolling, giving the user a really good and best experience. And if you're like thinking about how you can see that, how you can check about the performance of the flat list and flash list as well, there's a really great libraries I can recommend you to check out to measure the performance. The first one is for Android, and it's in Flashlight, and it will generate some sort of the report that you can compare your list or your application performance. And also there is a React Native performance monitor for Flickr plugin that can also like measure frames per second, and like you give it a report and you can see how much your app needs to load a large data, please, or maybe some other performance as well. Also, one thing I want to talk about is the offline support, because when you're building your app, you often don't think about what will happen if your current user don't have the internet. You have to think about, is your app going to work only when there's internet connection, or you want to give your user some sort of offline support to show the data while there's no internet connection. In best scenarios, if you want your app to not work when there is no internet connection, you will need to implement some of the screening as offline support. So to inform the user that there is no internet connection, and give them ability to go to the settings and turn on the Wi-Fi or turn on the mobile data. So like it's just a simple like as an icon and text, but it can give the user really good user experience. And also there are some libraries I want you to recommend about working with React Native and offline. And first one is React Native and account KD. This library is really good for using and storing the data. I think the most common use case is for user is from search from web to mobile, and is to go to ASIC storage. But this one is really interesting because it have synchronously storing and retrieving data from the local storage, and also it represents data so you can ensure that the user can access and interact them even if your app is offline. And if you use the storage benchmark to compare these libraries like ASIC storage and MQD, you will see how much the MQD is faster. Also, there is some other library I want you to recommend, and that is React Native Community Network. We needed some cases where we needed to check the type of the connection in our application, or just like how is there any connection at the moment. And you can use this library, and it will provide you the type of the network and the connection type. It's really good to use in this case. Okay, let's go to the console of statements. One of the most popular methods for debugging in JavaScript is the console of statements. And developers often forget to remove them. And when publishing React Native apps, leaving this console of statements in the source code can result in significantly JavaScript bottlenecks. So I want to recommend you to use the Pebble plugin that will remove this old console of statements, and you can just install it and add it to production, and running this will remove all the console of statements. Also, thinking about building mobile application, you need to think about giving your users the smooth experience. And with that, you have a lot to think about animation, because user will have that smooth experience by pressing the buttons, moving the screens when there's something happening. So with React Native, story with animation is a little bit different. If you don't think about the same thing at the top of your head, you can get a little bit trickier. So I want you to give some advices when using animations. The first is to enable the native driver for animator, and this is the easiest way of quickly improving your animation performance. Or also for more complex use cases, you can use the React Native animator library. It is API compatible with animator library, and it will give you the 60 frames per second. And it also introduces the possibility to animate all possible style props that you can think about. It's a really great library to use in React Native. And there's some library that I really love to work with React Native and animation, and that is Milica. With Milica, you can also work with your designer, because how it works is that it will, you can use Adobe After Effects, and you can libraries for parsing them, and it will export to the JSON. You will use the JSON in your application to create a really smooth and really great animation. And it also works for separately iOS and Android development as well. There is also one more library that I think is even faster than Milica, and that is Rive. And it's really easy to use. Also, you can also work with your designer and developers as well. So I would suggest you to also check it out. Okay. So I think now we can talk about a little bit about debugging. So for my transitioning from web to mobile, what is the one thing that was really challenging for me? It's debugging, because on the web you're familiar with the browser. You will just open the browser and start debugging. And in React Native, it can be a little bit difficult, because you also have, as I say, iOS and Android. And a lot of times you will have to use code Android Studio and Xcode to debug and see block statements. And you can use the React Dev tools as well, but you can see the elements tree, and you can see the props and the state. Also, React Native provides you the logbooks. It will show you warnings, and it will show you the errors as well when they happen. But the one library that really helped me when there's debugging is the Flipper. So Flipper gave us really smooth experience for debugging, because it also can show you the trees. It can also show you the method calls. Also, Flipper can be used for both iOS and Android separately. And it also gives you device logs, device crash reports. It actually inspects the method calls. And it was really better, than to open the Xcode and Android Studio. But React Native from the version 0.73 will not support the Flipper. So there are some other options that you can check out. There is the Reactron, that is really good for the developers. It gives you all the experience you have in Flipper. You will have as Reactron as well. You can inspect your application. You can show show the network requests, you can see the logs and everything. And as this month earlier, React Native team announced that in React Native 076, there are going to be React Native DevTools. And in React Native DevTools, it's going to be providing the developers a really great user experience for debugging. So I'm really excited about that to try it out. Also, one thing you need to think about is upgrading your React Native versions. You want your app to stay up to date with versions, but updating these versions can get a little bit trickier because you're not also updating just JavaScript code, you're also updating the iOS and Android as well. So there's two ways to upgrade your React Native version. The first one is to use the React Native CLI. You run the command and then choose the version you want to upgrade. But it can also be a little bit trickier sometimes. So there is some other way you can do this upgrade is to use the upgrade helper. With our upgrade helper, it will show the detailed comparison between this version and it will show you the detailed files that you need to change and to update your version to the newest version. And it will look something like this. On the left side, you will see what is changed on the version and what you need to do to add side by side. And also, we can speak about testing. And we know that developers don't make mistakes. Just kidding. All developers make mistakes. And testing helps us to find those mistakes. And just with testing, you also ensure that your code continue to work, whether you're adding some new feature, when you're maybe refactoring or some other. And in React Native, it comes default with the Jest testing framework, and you can use Jest to write your unit test. But also you can use the really two popular libraries, that is React Native testing library and React Native test render. They are both really great. You can use them to write your unit test. Just checking out there's not a lot of differences. They're, as I said, really both great. And for end-to-end testing, there is a couple of options you can use. You can use the Titox. I think that is the most popular library for native testing. And you can also check out the Appium and Maestro. Maestro is coming really popular at the last year, so maybe check it out and see what is looking for you. That's it. That's all. Thank you, guys. You have some maybe questions?
Yeah, I actually have one regarding the navigation part. Did you ever experience how to solve this problem for the wearing the navigation, the React navigation, which is part of the controlled by the JavaScript part. And there is a problem when you need to navigate from one model to another, and if you have already opened this is relative to the iOS mostly. On iOS, you have already opened a couple models, and you want to open the third one, you will get an exception. And the same as for we will try to call the model from different stack navigator. So how did you solve this problem if you experienced this?
We didn't experience them, but I think you can check out. I think there's some props that you can use. I don't know, maybe pushing directly to the screens to try maybe to solve these cases or not.
So we basically solve this with the closing unconditionally, going to all the navigators, just closing everything, reset everything that we have so far, and only after that you can open. But the problem is still there, that you can perform the back or something, so you have to close before to open something. So this is the problem. And one more question. What's your experience about the debugging? I also mean have actual screens and you can track exactly what's happening internally. But as we have only the bridge to the single activity, basically, we can see that some address in memory has some leaks, but how to predict and where to find the place is the problem.
Yeah, I understand because we have we use the figure as you say like plugins to the check performance and check the memory that it's flowing, and that was really great. You can maybe check the libraries because it's something that helps. But yeah, I also agree that there is a lot of like for me and also it's really hard for it to debugging part or also the activity as well because sometimes it's completely different and I'm more than have to think like about those pieces as well. And I really hope that native tools that they're going to release is going to solve maybe some of the pieces and give us like really that experience that we need. But yeah, actually, and also for the navigation, we have like really keys for the scrolling. And we're going to show that on both iOS and Android, you have the gestures that are scrolling. And if you're using the list, we also have a problem with list is horizontal scrolling. And you, when user want to press the screen and just to the gesture there, you also have a lot of that problems. And because of that, I recommend you to check out the packages and flash lists because yeah.
We tried, but it's not enough solution to cover this. The most problem we still have is the chunky behavior. If we have really heavy components internally, and it's still not the native communication, right? So because I've had the experience of the iOS native communication, and this is completely different experience. There you just like your home because it just works just smooth and perfect. The reality is not the same, and the scrolling is becoming really annoying sometimes, especially if you have, as you mentioned before, this like expectable height or something, so you can suggest to calculate in advance. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and the user still can experience, especially for on small devices, the jumpy experience. You struggle.